For years, we've thought of AI as this productivity tool, right? Something to help you write emails, code a website, maybe crunch some data. But what if that's not the whole story? What if the next big thing for AI isn't about finding answers, but actually about finding connection?
And that question right there is really at the core of this huge shift we're seeing in AI. We're moving away from just, pulling up facts and towards creating real interactions, real emotional engagement, and honestly, that changes the game completely.
To really get a grip on this change, we're going to take a deep dive into a platform called Joyland AI. It is the perfect case study for this new wave. It's an AI that's not built for raw speed, but for something else entirely, creating a believable character and a real sense of connection that lasts.
Okay, so how in the world does an AI go from being this cold, sterile search engine to a dynamic conversation partner? Well, it's not magic. It all comes down to a complete rethink of its core design and really what its ultimate purpose is.
All right, here's the fundamental difference. You look at a standard productivity AI, right? Its whole world revolves around probability. It's built to give you the most likely, most correct answer. But Joyland AI, it's playing a totally different game. It's designed for emotional resonance. The goal isn't just to be correct. It's to be creative, to be believable, to stay in character. And this is the secret sauce for how they pull that off. It's a mix of some pretty clever memory systems, so the AI actually remembers who you are and what you talked about last week, and this really cool technique called temperature tuning. Now, just think of temperature as a creativity dial. If you turn it down low, you get predictable, kind of boring, safe responses. But when you crank that temperature up, whoa, the AI's answers get way less predictable. It's literally programmed to surprise you, to give you a cool narrative twist instead of just the most statistically obvious reply.
But this ability to simulate a personality, it's not just for fun and games. It has actually unlocked this incredibly powerful and maybe even unexpected killer app for this kind of tech. It's turned it into a unique kind of rehearsal space.
And that really brings us to the heart of it. If an AI can convincingly role-play as anybody, what can we actually do with that power? Well, the answer goes way beyond just having a fun chat. The real game changer here is the creation of a totally safe space for psychological practice. It's like a rehearsal stage for life. This isn't about replacing people at all. It's about getting ourselves ready to interact with them way more effectively. And people are already using this in the wild in some amazing ways. For example, users are programming AI characters to act like their difficult boss so they can practice asking for a raise in a totally safe environment. Or they're creating characters like a French bakery owner to have these organic, unpredictable conversations to help them learn a new language. Even writers are getting in on it, creating bots of their own fictional characters just so they can interview them and find plot holes. How cool is that? Of course, to make this level of realistic simulation possible, a platform like this has to make some very different and, let's be honest, pretty controversial choices about content filters compared to the big mainstream players. So Joyland takes what you might call a more libertarian approach. See, unlike the big AI platforms with their super strict guardrails, Joyland allows for a much wider range of topics, and that includes NSFW, or not safe for work, adult-themed content, which it turns out is a huge driver of its user base.
Naturally, that level of freedom brings up a really important question. In an environment with so few restrictions, how on earth does the platform handle user privacy and safety?
Okay, so the platform does have several safeguards in place. Your chats are encrypted, you can stay anonymous, and there's a toggle for content filtering. But, and this is a big but, the most important safety measure is actually on your side, the user's side. The golden rule for any AI interaction is super simple. Never, ever share personally identifiable information. Keep your address, your credit card number, all that sensitive stuff to yourself. Seriously. So, with all that in mind, where exactly does Joyland AI fit into this whole booming market for AI companions? Let's take a look at how it stacks up against the competition.
When you put Joyland side by side with its main rivals, its unique spot in the market gets crystal clear. You've got Character.ai, which is famous for its super high-quality conversations and fantastic memory, but it's got a strict no-go policy on adult content. Then you have Chai, which does allow it, but honestly, its conversations can feel a bit repetitive after a while. And this is what puts Joyland right in a very specific sweet spot. It's trying to deliver a conversational experience that's way smarter than apps like Chai, but with the content freedom that the big market leaders like Character.ai just won't touch. And it looks like this strategy is really paying off by tapping into a whole bunch of different human needs. I mean, sure, entertainment is the biggest piece of the pie, but look at this. A whopping 30% of users are there specifically to practice social skills. That completely validates that whole rehearsal space idea we talked about. And another 20% are looking for a way to deal with loneliness, which just highlights the really deep-seated human needs these platforms are starting to tap into.
So, what's the big takeaway from all this? It's that the basic, fundamental human desire for connection is now a massive force shaping the future of technology. We're not just programming machines to think anymore. In a weird way, we're teaching them how to relate.
And that leaves us with a pretty fascinating, and maybe even a little unsettling, question for the future. As we use these incredibly powerful tools to rehearse our conversations, to polish our arguments, and to get ready for life's biggest moments, you have to wonder, how much of the final script is really our own?